To be honest, I never wanted to go in the first place. Sure, a weekend barbecue sounded nice, but camping, sleeping in tents, chasing after special hidden spots, somewhere in the woods, that was never my thing. But Tyler wouldn't shut up about it. He'd spent the whole week raving about some amazing lake he'd found on one of his wilderness forums. Crystal clear water, man. No one around for miles. Totally untouched, he repeated so many times that eventually I agreed, just to make him stop talking. Naturally, Tyler took charge of the preparations too. We bought an absurd amount of meat. When he loaded a third cooler into the trunk, I told him, half joking, that we weren't feeding an army. He just laughed. You don't get it, dude. My marinade's a masterpiece. You'll be begging for seconds. We packed the tents, sleeping bags, a couple of portable stoves, and a folding grill. Emma and Kate argued over whether to bring an entire watermelon. I just shook my head. We'd end up bringing half the food back anyway, but I didn't bother to argue. So, we set off for this mysterious, supposedly magical spot. Emma looked uneasy from the start. Though she tried to hide it, she never liked our spontaneous adventures, though she'd never say it out loud. Kate, on the other hand, was ecstatic, talking non-stop about how great it would be to get away, to finally do something together again. I smiled and nodded along, trying to match their mood, though for some reason I felt uneasy the whole time. The road was rough. The car bounced and rattled. Tree branches scraped against the sides like they were trying to stop us, to push us back. The GPS was losing its mind. Sometimes it showed we were driving across a lake, sometimes straight off the map. I tried to ignore it, but Emma's pale face told me she noticed too. When a small, rural settlement finally appeared ahead, I let out a sigh of relief. At least we'd arrived somewhere. But the relief didn't last long. The place looked dead. Crooked wooden houses with boarded windows, collapsing fences, yards overgrown with weeds. The whole air felt heavy, suffocating, as if the place itself refused to let go of the darkness that hung over it. I was about to speed up and get us out of there when I noticed movement in one of the windows. An old woman stood there. Her pale, wrinkled face was frozen in terror. She stared right at us, eyes wide, lips moving quickly, whispering something like a prayer. Then suddenly she crossed herself, and the shutters slammed shut with a loud crack. "Well, that's comforting," Kate muttered under her breath. Tyler forced a laugh, but the confidence in his voice was gone. Emma turned away from the window, her voice barely audible. "Maybe we should go back." Tyler laughed again, louder than before, clearly trying to shake off the tension. "Oh, come on, Em. It's just an abandoned town. Don't tell me you're scared of that." I didn't say a word, just pressed the gas pedal a little harder. The car jolted forward, deeper into the forest, farther from that house and the praying old woman. Still, no matter how hard I tried to focus on the thought of grilled meat and cold beer, the unease wouldn't leave me. A few miles later, the road somehow got even worse, if that was possible. I cursed under my breath as we bounced over deep potholes and muddy ruts. "How much farther, man?" I finally asked. "Maybe we should just pick a normal spot, yeah?" Tyler was hunched over his dying phone, trying to get a signal. "Almost there," he muttered. "Half an hour tops. Trust me, dude, it's worth it." There was no point arguing. I sighed and kept driving. Then I noticed something. At first, I thought it was my imagination. Bits of fabric, hanging from the branches along the road. But when I looked closer, my hands went cold. They were dolls. Tiny, ragged little dolls made of cloth, swinging in the breeze. Their faces were blank. Where the eyes should have been, burned holes, black and empty. Kate saw them too and laughed nervously. "Okay, that's officially creepy," she said. "Guess we're in Blair Witch country." Emma didn't laugh. She pressed closer to the window, her voice trembling. "Maybe it's a sign, Dylan. Maybe we should turn back." Tyler snorted. "Oh, come on. Scared of a few voodoo dolls? Relax." I tried to smile, but in the rear-view mirror, I saw one of the dolls twist slightly, like it was looking at us. "Just the wind," I told myself. "Just the damn wind." After a few more turns, the forest finally opened up, and there it was, the lake. I'll give Tyler this. He hadn't been lying. It was stunning. Crystal clear water surrounded by thick forest, a perfect flat clearing for camping. Even Emma seemed to relax, smiling for the first time all day. We set up camp quickly. Tyler unfolded the grill, got the fire going, and soon the smell of roasted meat drifted across the water. I'll admit it, his barbecue was incredible. Tender, smoky, with just the faintest taste of beer and garlic. For the first time that day, I let myself relax. When night fell and the stars came out, we sat around the campfire, the flames painting everyone's faces orange and gold. Then Tyler suddenly went quiet. He stared into the trees for a long moment, then smiled that strange smile of his, the one that always made people a little uneasy. "Oh, right," he said softly. "Those dolls we saw on the way here. I forgot to tell you the best part." He paused, clearly enjoying the suspense. "They're not decorations," he said. "They're warnings." The fire cracked. Shadows danced across his face, making his eyes look dark and hollow. "I found a post about this place on a forum," he continued. "Apparently, back in the 1800s, there was a settlement out here. The people worshipped a forest spirit. Not some friendly guardian, but something darker. It demanded blood." Kate rolled her eyes. "Oh, here we go." Tyler ignored her. "Every year they offered it a sacrifice. A person, someone old, or sick, or just unlucky. They'd tie them up and bring them deep into the woods at night. Leading the way were shepherds with lanterns and little bells." He leaned closer, voice dropping almost to a whisper. "They said the sound of the bells kept evil spirits away, but also helped the forest's master find his way to the offering." Emma's knuckles were white around her paper cup. "They'd take the victim to a huge tree," Tyler said. "Cut their throat and leave the body there. The tree drank the blood. Its roots ran so deep, they said it connected our world with theirs." The forest around us felt suddenly colder. Even the fire seemed smaller. "After the ritual," Tyler went on, "the villagers would make a rag doll with burned out eyes. They believed the victim's soul lived inside it, forever bound to the forest. Proof for the spirit that the debt was paid." He glanced at us, smiling faintly. "The dolls hanging on the trees kept the evil out of their homes. A barrier and a reminder. Payment made. The hunt's over. For another year." He fell silent. The fire popped softly. "Creepy enough for you?" he finally asked. Then his voice dropped again. "The weird part is, this didn't happen centuries ago. Locals say it went on till the 1990s. I stared at him. "You're kidding." "Nope. Cops came to check the place out once. Found it empty. No people, just the dolls. Hundreds of them. and a blood-soaked tree. For a moment, no one spoke. Emma was pale as paper. Kate laughed too loudly, calling it the dumbest campfire story ever, but her hand trembled as she reached for another skewer of meat. I tried to laugh too, but my eyes kept drifting toward the black wall of trees beyond the firelight, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something in there was watching us. We turned in late that night. Emma and Kate took one tent, Tyler and I another. "Good night," I said, zipping ours closed. For a second I thought I saw a faint flicker of light out in the distance, like a flashlight moving between the trees. But who the hell would be out here? "Stop staring out there," Tyler muttered. "You're letting bugs in." I shook it off and zipped the tent shut. He fell asleep almost instantly. I kept replaying that story in my head. The tree, the dolls, the blood. I told myself it was all just a campfire tale. But I couldn't shake the image of the old woman in the abandoned town, and those eyeless dolls swaying in the wind. At some point, I must have dozed off. A faint sound woke me. At first I thought I was dreaming. A distant, gentle tinkling, like tiny bells moving with the breeze. I lay still, eyes closed, listening. Maybe it was wind chimes. Maybe Tyler had packed some weird camping gadget. But then came the footsteps. Heavy, slow, careful. Branches cracked underfoot, one after another. I sat up, my chest tight. That sound wasn't part of a dream. "Tyler," I whispered, shaking him awake. He groaned. "What?" "Someone's out there." I crawled toward the entrance and unzipped it just enough to peek outside. The night was black and still, until Emma's voice came from the next tent. "What's going on?" "Shh," I hissed. But then Kate stirred too, her tone sharp with irritation. "Can we not do this at 3 a.m? And that's when we saw them. Lights. Dozens of small, flickering lights moving between the trees, like lanterns swaying gently as they drew closer. And with them, the sound of bells. Soft at first, then louder. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. "Jesus Christ!" Emma gasped, clutching Kate's arm. "I told you we shouldn't have come." We froze for only a second, then bolted. We ran for the car, the sound of the bells growing louder behind us, their rhythm matching our pounding hearts. But when I reached the car, my stomach dropped. The tires were shredded, not just punctured, cut to ribbons. Someone had done this on purpose. "Run!" Tyler shouted. We took off down the dirt road, but the woods had changed. The path was gone, swallowed by the trees. When I checked my phone, the GPS showed our location floating in the middle of a lake. The bells followed. Closer. Faster. The light of the lanterns flickered all around us, weaving through the trunks, circling. The air vibrated with the sound. A constant, maddening chime, like 1,000 insects buzzing inside my skull. And then Kate screamed. I turned. She was gone. "Kate!" Emma shouted, voice breaking. No answer, only the bells. Light, mocking, distant. They were taking us one by one. We ran until our lungs burned. Branches tore our faces. Roots caught our feet. Tyler was just ahead of me. Then he wasn't. I heard him scream, raw and animal, before it cut off. "Keep going!" I yelled, dragging Emma with me. We stumbled through the dark, blind and gasping, while the bells and lanterns closed in from every side. Emma tripped and fell, sobbing. "I can't, Dylan. I can't." I bent to help her up. And that's when something pale and bony shot out of the dark. A hand. It grabbed her ankle and yanked her back. More hands followed, pulling her down, dragging her into the blackness. "Dylan, help!" she screamed. And then she was gone. The forest swallowed her. The bells screamed with her, and I was alone. I ran. I didn't think. I didn't breathe, just ran, deeper and deeper until my legs gave out. And then the trees opened. I stumbled into a clearing. In the center stood a massive tree, its branches clawing at the sky. The ground around it was dark and wet, the air thick with a metallic smell. Blood. And there they were. Tyler, Kate, Emma. Their throats were slit. Their bodies hung limp, heads bowed, eyes open and glassy. Blood ran down their necks into the roots of the tree, seeping into the soil. I froze. Couldn't scream. Couldn't breathe. And then I saw the dolls. Dozens. No, hundreds. Hanging from the branches. 3 of them were new. And one, still unfinished, had my name burned into the fabric. My heart stopped. Without thinking, I grabbed it. The moment I tore it free, the figures in the trees, the ones holding lanterns, froze. Their lights flickered. A low murmur rippled through them. Not words, more like the sound of something afraid. That's when it hit me. The dolls were their protection. Their link to whatever dark god ruled this place. I tore another one down, and another. The forest erupted in chaos. The lanterns spun wildly, the bells shrieked, the shadows broke apart like smoke. Something deep in the woods let out a sound, a roar that didn't belong to anything human. It rolled through the forest like thunder, shaking the ground. They screamed, the hunters, the killers, and ran. And I ran too. I don't know how long I was in those woods. Maybe hours, maybe days. When the trees finally thinned and the sky began to brighten, I stumbled onto an old asphalt road. A truck driver found me there, clothes torn, face cut, barely able to stand. He kept asking questions. Who I was, where my friends were, but I couldn't answer. I just stared out the window as we drove past the forest, waiting to see a light flicker between the trees. And when the driver pointed down at my hands, I finally looked. I was still holding one of the dolls. If you enjoyed the story, you can support the channel by liking and subscribing. See you next time.